These are certainly starting to get into their stride now. We've had some very warm weather during the past 6 to 8 weeks, and that has a bearing on one of my arguments during this video. Growing Paulownia from seeds or cloning them from cuttings. One of the arguments that I hear is that seed-grown Paulownia only retain a fraction of the parent characteristics, and that may well be true. However, these are Nordmax in the second row here, and they're definitely growing faster than the tomentosa in the first row there. And in the first row there, they're getting access to much more direct sunlight. The soil that they're growing in is deeper, so therefore they should have more access to hydration and nutrients. And yet, as I say, these Nordmax are definitely growing faster. The stems, and I'll give you some close-up shortly, are much thicker. Also, last year when these were, or might have been the year before, when these were growing in the polytunnel, they were just astonishing. They were in the top shelf of the polytunnel, so probably around 35-40 degrees C, and that definitely, or that must have made an impact. They just grew twice as fast as every other variety. So they're not all as thick and growing as vigorously as this one, but in general these Nordmax are, yeah, it's noticeable. Paulownia in the first row there, these Nordmax are definitely larger, and as I say, stems definitely noticeably thicker. More so on others, on some than others, but in general, yes, these are growing faster and the stems are thicker. So that one's put on this year, getting on for a metre, 80 centimetres at least. And when I compare that to this tomentosa, and yeah, this tomentosa is larger overall, but this year's growth, possibly because it's got more stem. No, I can't say that. Its growth is 60 centimetres, maybe 70, but the stems are noticeably thinner. Here's another one here, and not even 60, yeah, maybe 60 centimetres tops for the best shoot, but they're much thinner. These are Shantung in this row, another hybrid, and as with the Nordmax, I'd say the stems are noticeably thicker. Growth wise, much and such with the tomentosa in terms of the length, but the stems are noticeably thicker, much thicker. I'll give you a close-up of one of them just now, possibly because this is a new shoot from the ground, but easily 80 centimetres, and that's growth in the last perhaps 8 to 10 weeks. But as I say, the noticeable thing is just much thicker than the tomentosa shoots. Maybe there is a caveat in terms of those tomentosa are taller to start with, perhaps more shoots. Anyways, a recent comment said, judging by the shape of the leaves, these are all tomentosa. They're definitely not pure tomentosa in terms of those hybrids. As I say, even given that these tomentosa have got more shoots, when the Nordmax were in the polytunnel, they just grew much faster. It's noticeable as well that the tomentosa that I've germinated this year have grown much slower in the polytunnels than all the other varieties that I'm growing. Paulownia, Nordmax, Shantung, and the most recent elongata, which is a natural variety. It's not a hybrid, and I will be going more towards natural varieties, though you can't discount Nord Max with those growth rates, and even though they're grown from seed, they're noticeably thicker in the stem. They grew noticeably faster with higher temperatures. So getting back to the original argument point of this video, clones versus growing from seed. If you're from Ireland, then you're probably familiar with ash dieback. I've seen ash dieback in 3 plantations, and it's tragic, devastating. Every single tree dead. These were all recent plantations though, within the past 10 years, and this is hearsay. I'm led to believe that they were all sourced from the same country. I don't know if it was the same nursery, but certainly the same country. But as I say, that's a bit of hearsay, although it's corroborated in some ways in terms of several other people I've spoken to have said, our ash trees are fine. And the reason why their ash trees are fine is because they're indigenous, grown from seed, and they're older. So they're not from the same strain of ash trees. Perhaps they were semi-cloned from seed, genetically modified seed, treated seed, whatever the reason, the older ash trees seem to have weathered ash dieback much more resiliently. I did try and notice if there were differences in leaf shape when I first started growing these, and the first year it was just Shantung and Tomentosa. So these are Shantung, and that's the leaf shape there. When I did grow them when the leaves were smaller in the first year, it did seem as though they were more serrated, but they seem to grow out of that. There's hardly any serrations on that one. And these are Tomentosa. Get the sun out of it. So I suppose in some ways slightly different leaf shape, though these are my most recent plantings of elongata. So yeah, definitely a different leaf shape there. However, unless this is a rogue seed, and that's possible too, then the leaf shape on that one's totally different from all of the rest of the elongata that I have. But as I say, I'm happy to accept that you'll get rogue seeds when you're buying them in, I wouldn't say bulk, but reasonable quantities, 2,000, 3,000 at a time. So these are the leaf shape, and I'd say they tend to change as well as they grow, but these are the leaf shape of elongata at the moment. Just squash a horsefly there. There's thousands, millions of them at the moment. And even just saying what I'm saying, these are Tomentosa leaf shape. Slightly different leaf shape there, same plant. And when I come over here, this is also Tomentosa, and difficult to say there, eh? Maybe it's been eaten by something or something's affected it. Let's have a look at that one perhaps. Yeah, more pointy perhaps for Tomentosa. That might be a characteristic. And yet when you look at this one, on the same plant, yeah, I suppose more pointy generally, but you're going to get rogue leaves too. So in terms of identifying from the leaves, yeah, I suppose it's possible. These are the Nord Max, much bigger leaves at this stage. They are definitely growing faster. Nord Max are, you know, whether it's from seed or not, they're growing more quickly, noticeably so. And stems are definitely thicker. Paulownia in the first row here. Really difficult to say. That one looks as though it's broader with a point, but generally more broad, but then that's also a Paulownia, and I think I would find it difficult on a mature plant to notice a difference. If anybody does have some actual photographs of the leaves in a Nordmax plantation, a Paulownia plantation, or a Shantung plantation, then email them to me. I'd love to see them. While I'm doing the update, these are the plants I planted in October, and yeah, they're just getting the hang of it, some more so than others, but I still don't have any issues about planting any tree in whatever month of the year. That one that died, and I pretty much knew it was going to die, it wasn't great to start with, and I replaced it. So this is a fresh one this year. Can't say that they're growing mad, fresh ones versus ones that were planted last year. Quite often see on Facebook posts that the leaves are showing yellowing and there must be something wrong, and my advice is just to let them be and see what happens. And as you can see, this one's growing out of it, so it can't be nutrient deficiency, because it's the same nutrients in that plant as it is in this plant, and as I say, as you can see, that one's growing out of it. Totally different leaf shape on that one, and these are Nordmax, so compare, well, maybe longer and pointier in Nordmax. As I say, if anybody's got any photos of the leaves in these plantations, so that we can have a database of exactly how to identify the different clones and the different varieties, then do email them to me. I'd love to have them. One final point, and it has been a point that I've stressed for quite a while, is during the first year, don't expect major top growth. These Elongata I have just planted, and it's noticeable that just about every single one of them started sprouting from the base. And that's generally what I've found. Hopefully you can maybe see that. A bit dark and shaded there. Maybe I'll take some photos of the phone. Hopefully you can see it on that one. Okay, the sun's in the right direction for the basal shoot on this one. As I say, during the first year they are going to grow roots. They're unlikely, I'm not saying they're not going to grow any top growth, but they're going to focus on growing roots. My strategy had been evolving into cloning my best ones and making them for sale, though considering ash dieback again, and also another factor would be, and I'm speaking broadly in terms of the eucalyptus I grow, some of them do well here at Clonsonocta and some of them don't. One variety that it's been useless here for me at Clonsonocta is Johnstonii, and yet Johnstonii, there are 40-metre tall specimens in Wexford on the east coast. One customer in the Midlands emailed to say, oh, they're growing fabulous for me here. So I guess it also depends on your locale, specific locale, your soil conditions. This is a north-facing exposed slope, so if you're in a south-facing sheltered slope, perhaps clones and seed growing will do just as well there. Though, the point I'm coming to is, perhaps buy seed grown, then in a couple of years start cloning your own best ones and growing your own mini forest, and that is the market I'm in, a bit more slowly, so you build up strong, genetically resilient trees. Hope that helps. Good luck.